any of these calls before, raise your hand. I want to see. Hi, let's see. That's we got Jim Bronson. That's great. And so I'm a volunteer, as everybody else here on this call. And I'm just thrilled to be part of this organization. I'm thrilled to be hosting this meeting. This is the first time I've hosted like this before. And I just want to let you all know how much I love being part of this organization. We are doing something really unique in the world. We're bringing forth the commitment to actually restore the climate. And we're creating the whole issue around the climate crisis and getting to frame it as a game that we can win at. And I'm going to outline that out a little bit more in a minute here. So the vision of the Foundation for Climate Restoration is that we are going to restore the climate fully by the year 2050. And that climate restoration becomes the overarching goal of climate action by the year 2030. In other words, by the year 2030, we'll have established restoration of the climate as an idea whose time has come. Climate restoration, when we talk about it, we mean restoring the climate to one that humans have evolved and thrived in for thousands of years, and with CO2 levels below 300 parts per minute.
Million.
Excuse me, 300 parts per million, not 300 parts per minute. And our mission is to generate the social license and the political will to restore the climate. So this is a movement that we're creating, and there's a movement. We aren't fighting anything. We aren't against anything. We're creating something that we all want to create. And we're creating a movement. And one of the really marvelous things about this movement is that there's room for everybody to come and be a part of it. So we'll welcome you all. I love seeing all the people that have been here again and again, and everybody, all you new faces. We're really, really thrilled to have you again. I'm co-hosting with Julia Diederer here. Julia is on the board of directors for the Foundation for Climate Restoration. She has been with the board of directors, or she's been with the Foundation for Climate Restoration since the very beginning, something like 8 years or more. She's also the co-chair of the executive committee for the Foundation for Climate Restoration. And she is going to be introducing us to a couple of guests tonight. And I'd like to turn it over to you, Julia.
Thank you so much. It's just a pleasure to be here. The Founders Series started about 6 months ago, Carol. Carol Douglas is on the board as the head of communications. So 8 months ago?
It must be about 6 months ago, because I think this is our 6th or 7th, possibly 7th evening. Yeah.
Yeah. And we wanted to have something as a monthly gathering for new people to come into. We have weekly meetings that are for people who are looking for, not a club, who are looking for people, someplace they can touch in on a weekly basis or on a regular basis to inspire them in what they're up to with regard to climate action. And we've had really some great speakers, but the area that's been missing, as far as some of us are concerned, is the area of youth action. And there are people globally doing incredible action who are under the age of 30. And we wanted to spotlight a couple of them who are working in the arena of climate restoration. And I couldn't be more honored to introduce to you Ashley Meeky. Ashley, I met when the foundation was just within a year or two of its getting some momentum. We had a convening at the UN during Climate Week in September. Right. And it was amazing. And Ashley Meeky, who was a high school student at the time,
right,
attended it. And she's one of those people who move me in terms of that it struck her heart, like the possibility of restoring the climate. And then within a couple of years, she joined the board of the Foundation for Climate Restoration, and she is the longest lived member of the board. You know, being our youth outreach ambassador. And she's going to talk to us today about her journey. And she's also here for us as a resource. I'm going to tell one on myself. I'm sure it's not true for anybody else. I'm afraid of speaking to young people. Am I the only one? I really am. It's like I don't want, in terms of climate, I don't want to step on, what if they have climate anxiety or what if I say it wrong? And what if they've got more training in climate related activities than I do, and I might seem patronizing. So I find myself holding back. So Ashley is so beautiful in the way, personally for me, that she interacts with me as a peer and as somebody co-committed to the same thing. So with that, I would love to hand it over to Ashley, and it'd be great if we could put her on not just gallery view, but Ashley, can you make yourself, or everybody, I think the way that you all can do it is make her as the speaker view.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, over to you, Ashley.
Righty. Can everyone hear me okay?
Beautifully.
All right, is my audio okay? Wonderful. Thank you for inviting me to be here, Julia and Carol and the rest of the team. It's such an honor, and I'm always so excited to contribute however I can for F4CR. So as Julia mentioned, we met in 2019. That was my very, very first introduction to climate restoration. I had no idea of the term. All I knew was mitigation, adaptation, and impending doom. That was all I had ever heard. And so by happenstance, my mom met someone else that was taking a group of high schoolers out to New York to this climate restoration forum by F4CR. And I didn't know the woman. Maybe in any normal circumstance, I shouldn't have done this, but I agreed to go on the trip with a woman and a random group of high school kids that I neither had I known. And I ended up at the F4CR convention and conference in 2019. And ever since then, I have been committed. I started joining meetings and getting involved. And then within that next year, I became the Youth Ambassador Board Member. And so from 2020 until now, I have maintained being on the board, which has been such a wonderful experience. And throughout my time, I have done a lot regarding outreach with the youth, interacting with the youth, and just spreading the word about climate restoration specifically with climate action. Again, like taking the focus from mitigation and adaptation, focusing more on being proactive with our environment. So I am so happy to be here with you all today just to tell you about what I've learned over these past few years and maybe give you all some tips and pointers if you all also want to reach out to the youth and also engage with the youth regarding climate restoration. So yeah, that's a little bit about my background. I'm still the ambassador board member of the foundation, and I'm in my senior year of college. I graduated in May, and so as kind of like my last thing I need for my major, I have to do an internship. Of course, I decided to do it with F4CR, and I am now like managing social media. I'm working with platforms like TikTok because TikTok is a huge, big deal to youth nowadays, and so I made that my chosen platform, and I'm making short, fun, like optimistic, happy videos and telling the world about climate restoration. And I've had a lot of success, I would say, for such a short time doing it. All of my videos have reached maybe like around 300 views, a lot of likes and comments and all of the sort. And in my time doing this, I've learned that the best way to have outreach with the youth is to, one, use mainstream media, like getting on platforms such as TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. The youth also respond well to stimulating content. So we have short attention spans. We don't focus too long on things, unfortunately. So the shorter the content, the more stimulating the content, the more, engaging in what you're saying, the more likely youth are going to be, listening, and the more it's going to land well with your audience if it's young people. I think I also do have an advantage being a young person. I think sometimes we can be stubborn when listening to, people older than us. Like, we don't like to be told what to do, but when it's coming from like another young person, I think that also lands well. And then the last thing I've noticed is just being optimistic goes really, really far, because like I said, the whole narrative thus far has been adaptation, mitigation, and the world is ending, impending doom, and lots of anxiety. And so when the whole world is spreading that narrative, it really sticks out when you're optimistic and showing a different future, a different type of hope. And that has been working wonders with outreach towards the youth. And I'm doing a lot of talk about like my social media and my TikToks. And I thought, what better way to show like what I've learned about outreach for the youth than to show like my own videos that I've been doing, like on TikTok. So if you all wouldn't mind, I'd like to go ahead and share like a couple of examples and like how I've been, you know, doing outreach on my own with climate restoration. So I'm unsure if I can share my screen on
Sure,
here.
sure.
Oh, wrong button. You would think I'm tech savvy. I'm not. Oh, here it is. The big button that says share screen. I think that'll do it. Okay. Oh, I think I should also share my sound.
There you go.
Yay.
Okay, so this is the TikTok page that I've been working so hard on this semester in school. If you all are interested, if you have young folk that you know, or want to direct people over to it, you can find the handle at F4CR underscore on TikTok. And that'll take you straight to my page. And I have two different series. The first one is Reasons to be Optimistic About the Environment. And the second series is Climate Restoration Basics, where I break down like all the nuances to climate restoration so it's digestible for people. So we'll take a look at a few examples. This is my most popular video. We've got a whopping 800 likes, which might be a lot, might be a little. It's the most I've gotten so far. So let's take a look at this as an example. Hi everyone, it's Ashley and I'm back with another Climate Restoration Basics video. So, we've been talking about photosynthesis in the ocean and how reviving whale populations can help the oceans absorb megatons and gigatons of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Well, today, I want to bring seaweed into the conversation. Did you know that kelp, which is a type of seaweed, can make underwater forests? Fish and other sea creatures live in these underwater forests, and there used to be so many kelp forests around most shorelines, but a lot of them are disappearing. Now technically, seaweed is macroalgae, but it's similar to plants because it uses carbon dioxide and water in order to grow. But the best part is, it can grow faster than almost anything on this earth, and some types of seaweed can grow more than 2 feet per day. This means that seaweed can take a lot of carbon dioxide out of the air at a fast rate. And so people that study seaweed are really encouraging that we farm seaweed out at the ocean and help regrow kelp forests. This is especially true because not only does seaweed absorb carbon dioxide, but when the seaweed dies, it sinks to the bottom of the ocean and the carbon dioxide is held there for a long, long time and kept out of the atmosphere. So there's another fun fact for you and how seaweed can help us achieve this mission of climate restoration. Come back next week for another climate restoration basics video. Hi everyone, it's Ashley and I'm back with So that was one example. Julia, are we okay on time if I showed one more or should I?
I think you should show all of them. They look so cool, at least 3 of them, okay?
Okay. So this next one is about whale poop. And you'll see, yes, I did say whale poop, and it's a really fun video. So here's the next one. Hi everyone, it's Ashley and I'm back with another climate restoration basics video. In my last video, I mentioned photosynthesis in the ocean, and one really cool example of this that you probably would have never guessed of is whale poop. And yes, you heard that right, whale poop. Whales dive to the deep ocean to eat, and then they come to the surface to breathe and poop. Now their poop is super iron rich, and that makes the perfect growing conditions for phytoplankton. And phytoplankton is the base of the marine food web. The little green plants that make up phytoplankton may be super small, but they make a huge impact on the Earth's atmosphere because they capture 40% of the entire world's carbon dioxide. However, there is a problem. We killed off most of the whale population, and yes, some whales are making a comeback, but the population is only about 10% of where it used to be. I think one of the coolest ways to restore a safe climate is to restore the whale population, and with that, there's super poop. Who would have thought? Certainly not me, but come back next week for more information about climate restoration. Bye! Alrighty.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful.
I'll show, I guess, just one more. I'll show this one because I like my hair. This one. Hi again, it's Ashley, and I'm back with reason number 2 to feel optimistic about our environment. So, if you watched my last video, then you know we talked about restoring atmospheric levels of carbon dioxide to how they were before the Industrial Revolution. And how if we all became net zero right this second, and we all stopped carbon dioxide emissions right now, then our Earth would still be in turmoil and our Earth would still suffer because of the legacy carbon dioxide that we put into the atmosphere over the past 200 years, especially since the Industrial Revolution. In other words, once we meet our net zero goals, there is still work to be done. Now we can use climate restoration strategies like ocean iron fertilization and synthetic limestone. And I know those sound super complicated. Don't worry, we'll break those down together. But those strategies is how we can remove an additional 50 billion tons of carbon dioxide per year so that over the next 30 years, by the time 2050 comes around, we can remove 1 trillion tons of carbon dioxide out of our atmosphere, and the goal of climate restoration will be done. So there it is, another reason to be optimistic about our environment. Come back next week for reason number 3 to feel optimistic about our environment. Hi again. Thank you. So I've been spending all semester on just doing that. So as you can see, like, again, if you have any youth that might be interested, you can direct them to the page for more information. But yes, just being super optimistic goes so far, wearing bright colors, changing the narrative, all of those things, are very, very helpful. And I thought it was really, really interesting as Julia was giving my introduction, saying, or actually before that, another thing that I've done to engage and reach out to the youth is I created an entire program called Youth Leaders for Climate Restoration. And then youth around the world were able to get certified in talking about climate restoration and teaching others about climate restoration. And that was super helpful because they had finally a platform, they had resources, they had support and investment to be climate advocates in their own way. And so through that program too, I've also learned the best way to reach out to youth is just by offering them support, giving them a voice and giving them a platform to use their voice, and investing in them that way goes so far. And then back to what I was saying before, Julia, when you were giving the introduction, you were saying how you were nervous maybe talking to youth because it might be intimidating or you don't want to spark climate anxiety. So what are some things that we can do to welcomingly like talk about the climate and talk about climate restoration, and being empathetic and not, overwhelming the youth. Um, and so some things that I've learned through my experience and, sharing that with you all is definitely, again, being optimistic, being brief, because again, we have those shorter attention spans, making sure that we're listening and not overwhelming the youth with information. Like maybe take the time to first listen and hear them out first, giving them the platforms to speak, and then maybe adopting some climate conversation starters. So maybe you would want to ask them questions like, what really is concerning to you regarding our Earth? Like, just to start the conversation, and then from there, listen. And then I think it's always a good thing to be optimistic. So offer them some reasons to be optimistic about the environment. So whether it be like fun facts, like, hey, did you know whale poop? Like if we invest in whales and revitalize that population, that's a fun way we can restore our climate. Or another reason to be optimistic is that there's so many climate restoration strategies in place. We just have to invest in them. But the potential is there, the strategies are there, the money is there, all the resources are there. And those are all very, very strong reasons to be optimistic about the environment. I think that's a great way to reach out to the youth. So,
What? Isn't it? Isn't it?
Robin, could you mute yourself? Go ahead.
yeah, basically just to sum that up in brief spark notes is be brief, be optimistic, listen, not overwhelm you, and just come with like positive, genuine intentions when talking about the climate. All of those things go so far when talking to youth about it. And then you can also direct them towards other youth that are doing the same thing. So whether it's my TikToks or other youth activists that you've seen, so that they feel like they have a community to talk about it too. Those are all great tools that could be of use. And that's pretty much what I have to say. I don't want to go over time, but thank you again for having me speak. And hopefully you took something away from me being here today.
Ashley, thank you so much. I would like, you, I hope, wrote those bullet points for us for yourself. I would like to have those bullet points so that I get over myself and start talking to you. I mean, I have to tell the truth. Julia, get over yourself. And so we're going to do Q&A now. Whatever you'd like to ask Ashley or share that you're getting from it. And I'll start it off. And that one of the things I got, Ashley, from you is, Julia, lighten up.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, apologies.
Oh, don't apologize. It's like, yes, the environment and the place we're at is very serious. But the reason I'm here is I got the possibility of restoring the climate. So it's kind of like I'm bringing the good news, Julia. Get over yourself and bring the good news rather than, oh, I have to be, I'm a grown-up, I have to be somber and, like that. So, I may ask you back to do a workshop for those of us who are severely impaired in this area. Okay, if you'd be willing to. I see some laughing faces of people going, yes, that's me too, severely challenged in this area. If you'd be willing to, I don't know, we'll see. But I sure would love it if you would give us those bullet points.
Of course. I can type it up now. I'm a pretty bad multitasker, but once I get a second, I can type that up and put it in the chat if you would like. But I think you do bring up a good point about, just not being so tough and so somber, because that is the entire narrative of the world. We hear so much about it that it goes even further to say, what if? What if there's actually a chance that we can be positive and proactive and do some really, really like good things for our earth, in that there's, there's resources are there, the money is there, like the strategies are there. What if we focused on that? That goes so much more further. So that's a good point.
And that's that's here at Climate Restoration. That's the news we're here to give. And I also, I can see this is so wonderful, Ashley. What if somebody says to me, no, that's not possible? Lighten up, Julia. Yeah, people think it isn't possible, but I can be light about, I've been with this organization and seen, that it is possible. And you so demonstrate that.
Yes, it definitely is possible. I think it does take some work because, again, you have to unlearn everything that we've been, or not unlearn it, like that is all important, but you also have to train yourself and like practice and exercise those muscles of, focusing on a greater cause, a more optimistic, more proactive cause. So it takes time.
Wow. This is a master class in speaking climate restoration. I really want to acknowledge you for that. So we're going to open it up to what's opening up for you. I'm sorry, I went to the line because I couldn't hold myself back with regard to what I'm getting out of this. But what would you like to ask, Ashley? And what would you like to share that you're seeing out of her shared? Francis, is your hand up? Or no? We need some hands up.
Yeah, I do
Okay.
see.
What? Who do you see?
I believe Philip had his hand up first, and then I believe Robin, followed by Diane. And there's also a
Wow.
question.
Oh, I must be, here it goes. Excuse me, everybody. I'm on page 2. Philip. Okay, and
Wow.
onward.
Thank you. Great seeing you again, Ashley. You amazing work and brought a smile to everybody. So I have a couple quick questions. About how many of those have you made so far? Do you do it once a week or?
Yes, so right now there's probably about 9 or so up there. So I've done them once a week, sometimes twice a week. Yeah, I've got a steady flow. I try to post as consistently as possible, so at least once a week.
Great. And the other question is, how do you get the different size fonts in the stuff that you're doing? I know how to get whatever captions, but they all come out the same size. How do you get them the different size and colors and stuff?
Yeah, so that is like a editing tool on TikTok. You kind of just have to play around with the little toggles and things like that. But once you like work with the fonts, you can just increase it and decrease it.
Really?
And so yeah, I do that manually. Like I size it manually and choose the location of the fonts and choose the colors. And I pay attention to like what contrasts with the background and what stands out with the background. I want it to be as engaging and as aesthetically pleasing as possible. So
Yeah.
I very much so intentionally pay attention to those
It's
details.
great. And yeah, I think I would need a master class in doing that. And Julia, you can get all of those things. They're already right there in her TikToks. All you have to do is watch them and you'll get all those points.
Yes, but there's something about having the bullet points as I'm getting ready to talk about climate restoration. Okay, Julia, how's your optimism? How's your lightness? How's your being brief? How's your, I can do a check off rather than looking at the TikToks one by one. Thank you, Philip. Robin.
Sure.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Sorry about my unmuting, not muting. I'm on the way to the ferry, very windy here. I'm from Aotearoa, New Zealand. And what I'd like to thank you for, Ashley, is your commitment to the young people. And I like your lightness as well. That's what I'm getting training in. But also the fact that there are solutions out there and to have them in a way that is young people speak. So I had my first gig yesterday and I went into a school. So this is my new title. I've made it up. Here in New Zealand, we have what they call relief teachers. And I've put myself in as a climate restoration relief teacher. And what's happened is that I have been at the school yesterday with a lot of other relief teachers because they had a gig going on with the school teachers. And what's happened is that what I see other relief teachers doing is they're surviving it. And with me, I had all these activities. Some were better than others. But I guess what I want, and I heard what you said, Ashley, about the 10-minute activities or 10 to 15 because of the attention span. So the ones that they loved, I've made up one with climate restoration. I've made up one we've got here in New Zealand, in Auckland. I'm from Auckland, New Zealand, and that's why I'm going now just to the island. I live on an island half the time and half the time in Auckland. But there is this Hauraki Gulf, which is so fragile, and people are trying to restore that. So I've made it relevant for the class to actually, because a lot of them have been out to the islands. But, you know, we're in trouble with that. But I think the thing is about positivity, that we can restore it. So I've run this program yesterday. I ran these activities, but it's early days and they need a lot of work. So I'd love a partnership, Ashley, to actually, and I have made a thing that in the schools, they don't do anything on electronics. So they do things with tactile and with the soil and working around sort of games. And having said that, I might not be a absolute no to that, but sometimes I don't know whether they've got their laptops or whatever. So that's the way that is. And I find to have them more engaged with these sort of game type activities. But I guess it needs a lot of work. I've already spent a lot of time on it. And as you know, Julia, I've been on some of these calls. I've listened to them all. And I'm really excited about it. But I'm also, I was pretty knackered yesterday. And I just thought to myself, oh my goodness, we've got a big mountain to climb here and a huge opportunity. So, you know, if I could, what my dream is to run a sort of organisation with relief teachers and have them download this information and have it at the ready, even if it is when teachers are away, it is something that is happening and that it's an important thing. So, yeah, I'm just really delighted about the partnership. That's what I hear there is here. And, yeah, and I guess my question is what kind of partnership could we have? I guess that's what I'm asking, Ashley.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your question and thank you for your work. It is very, very important work. So any contribution is wonderful. About partnerships, I am in the thick of it in college. However, I am putting my email in the chat because I'd still love to help out in any way that I can. So if you have any questions, and this is for all of you all, if you have any questions, if you need any insight, if you need any help, I am available via email and will do everything that I can to make sure that, you know, you're supported and I'm offering myself.
Great, thank you. Diane.
Thank you.
Hi, Ashley. I really appreciated you speaking about fun, and I also love how professional you come across in your TikTok videos. You clearly prepared them beautifully and speak them beautifully. And we have our team in the North Bay we have two fairly big tabling events coming up because it's close to Earth Day. And I was wondering, how could we make those fun? And maybe we should throw in a little dancing or some pom-poms, you know, cheerleader pom-poms, and make up a cheer to, you know, like how we've got happy answers and we have things people want to hear. So make up a silly, fun way to get that across.
I see. I think that's a great train of thinking. I say go for it. Why not? The funner, the better, the more lighthearted, the better. Of course, we are still, you know, being very serious about the situation, but to engage youth specifically, we need to have that approach of fun, lightheartedness, and optimism. I think something that has also been very efficient is like the fun facts, like whale poop. Like, you know, who would have thought about whale poop? Like, no one thinks about that. That's a really like cool, fun fact type of way. So having those different themes, intertwining them with Earth Day, finding some even more like interesting, fun facts also goes like a long way. So add that to your train of thinking, but the train of thought that you already have already sounds like a lot of fun. So maybe just incorporate those fun facts too.
Great.
I love the whale poop idea. Thank you.
Okay, Evan, I'm going to call on you, and then I am going to ask Allison, who has her Benchik, is that, I hope, the way you say your name, Allison, who is another youth advocate, and she's in high school and doing great things in Napa, but I'll take your share or question, Evan, and then I'd like to have Allison introduce herself so she can be part of the Q&A also.
My question to Ashley and other young people is whether they are finding their youth peers knowledgeable enough in science to appreciate the problem and why it's caused by moving carbon from fossil fuels into the atmosphere and warming the planet. Do we need to do science education as well as climate action education?
I think that's a good point, and I do think there's a need for it. With a lot of mass media, unfortunately, comes a lot of propaganda and misinformation. And so in a world where that is unfortunately taking the forefront and the precedent, a lot of times we do need to combat that with accurate information, scientific, factual information. And so I definitely think that's an important contributor because you really can't understand the situation correctly unless you have like the factual perspective or perception of it. And so I think that's a great point. And I have also done a series like that, the TikTok series, Climate Restoration Basics, where I break down like climate restoration part by part so that it's digestible and also, everyone's on the same understanding of like our environment and how to move forward. So that's a good point, and I think there's definitely a need for it. I have TikToks that act on it, if any youth that wants to learn more about it, but I'm sure you all are very knowledgeable yourself. That can go a long way. Just make sure not to overwhelm people with a lot of information. There's a good balance between informing and listening and informing and listening. So as long as you find that balance, I think that's very efficient.
Beautiful. Thank you, Evan. Allison, can you come on view? Oh, there you are. Great, Allison. It's great to see you again. You want to take yourself off mute and introduce yourself. Okay, we're waiting. It's harder to get yourself off mute on a phone, I know. I know. Okay, she froze for a second. We're gonna go to Pam Pence and then Allison, keep working on your unmuting.
Great. Thank you so much for your videos. I watched them a couple of weeks ago and I was just laughing and enjoying myself as you were presenting. I work with Stable Planet Alliance, and one of the things that we are working on as it relates to climate restoration is the overpopulation in general over Earth. And we're looking for free choice, educated, resourced, conscious choices about having children and promoting that education, support, resources. And so I was just curious, do you have anyone who's about your age or younger that might be interested in speaking about how population is part of the climate restoration process, or if you're interested in speaking about that?
That's a great question. And I actually think I heard a little bit about that from Peter Fikowski a while ago. But prior to that, I hadn't, heard about that. So I don't think I would be the right person to speak on behalf of that. I'm not sure if I know anyone else to speak on behalf of population as far as human population. we're talking about whale populations, I'm your girl. If we're talking about seaweed populations, I'm your girl. But human populations, unfortunately, I haven't made my way to that area, but I will keep an eye out. And if I do come across someone, I will direct it.
Fantastic. Thanks.
That's great. Okay, Allison, we got you now.
Yes, so sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties because I'm in the car right now.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say hello, Ashley. My name's Allison Bensick. I'm the co-president of Napa Schools for Climate Action. And recently we have started doing workshops on climate restoration. And this is kind of jumping back to the question that Evan presented. And right now, Napa Schools for Climate Action is actually working on a climate restoration and climate literacy resolution for our Napa Valley Unified School District Board. So I wanted, yes, it's very exciting. We're going to be presenting very soon. If anybody is in Napa or that area and would like to come join us, I'd be happy to send that information out. And Ashley, I wanted to ask you, is there anything that we can do to get involved with what you're doing kind of on the national level?
Thank you for your question. That's also amazing work. I know how hard it is to operate on an organizational level, like working across Napa Valley. I'm sure that takes a lot of focus and energy and organization. So I acknowledge you and I appreciate you for your work. As far as maybe working together on a national level, I think right now what I'm doing with the TikToks might be the best bet, just because that is like my primary focus right now. Definitely connecting on there could be like really good. And I also would like to extend the same motion. If there's anything that I can do to help you and forward your initiatives and forward your endeavors, please do let me know. I did put my email in the chat. I know you rejoined the meeting, so maybe the chat deleted. I can put it in there again, but I'd like to also extend the same thing. If there's anything I can do, just let me know.
Yeah, thank you. And if you could resend it, that would be perfect.
No worries. There.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So moved by you also, Allison, because Jim brings, Jim Wilson is sort of her spokesperson to our weekly membership calls, and he keeps us up to date, Allison. And it is so inspiring to all of us. You know, you guys are unstoppable. I saw a photo, of course, you know I have, of you and I don't know, there were others, but you and Nancy Pelosi, you know, so you are really out there making it happen. Now, Ray, your hand was up, and sometimes Zoom pulls your hand down if you put it up too long and it decides you don't want it up anymore. Did you have something to ask or say?
So yeah, I put my hand down because I thought time for questions for Ashley were over, but my question is, I really appreciate, you know, all the work you're doing with optimism and educating youth on the different methods of climate restoration. I'm wondering if you've given any thought to or know anything about the changes that I see as needed in policies and laws to enable a lot of this climate restoration work to proceed.
That's a great question. Legislation and working politically is very important because I think a lot of people won't stop doing whatever is best to make money unless there's policies that say, actually, let's put the environment first. And so I think we need to start moving away from policies that are net zero and just saying, let's just mitigate and let's just not make the situation worse. Like those are the type of policies that are in place right now. We need policies that say yes to all of the above, and let's also address the legacy of carbon. Let's fix and correct our mistakes that we've made in the past. So fixing the past as well as doing preventative measures in the future are needed. And those are more like carbon negative policies. And so there's for sure a need for that, but unfortunately, as capitalism has it, those aren't at the forefront right now. But as soon as everyone can understand that the environment comes first, I'm sure those policies will start rolling out for sure. They're important.
Thank you, Ray. And now I'm gonna jump the line and call on Avery, who's our other youth that's here. And thank you so much for coming on. Would like to hear what you'd like to say, as well as if anything you'd like to ask.
Hi everyone. Hi Ashley. Thanks for presenting. I thought it was really cool seeing all your TikToks. I'm 15 years old, so I might not be accomplished as Ashley or the other youth who are here, but I just had a suggestion, and I was wondering if Ashley, do you have access to the F4CR Instagram? Because I follow the Instagram. And even though it might not have like as many people who use Instagram as TikTok, I know a lot of my peers have Instagram who don't have TikTok, including me. And I feel like it would be really easy and it would be really effective to upload your videos onto the Instagram as well as the TikTok. So have you ever considered that or thought about that? Because I feel like that would be maybe something that you would want to think about.
That's such a good point. That's such a good point. There was a time way back when I mentioned I made that Youth Leaders for Climate Restoration program. We had an Instagram page and we were posting content on that pretty regularly and consistently. But as the program has evolved, the United Nations Girl Up part of the United Nations have absorbed that program now. So I don't operate the Instagram any longer, but that is a great idea. So moving from TikTok and then maybe posting that on Instagram. I'll for sure take that up with, who's running the F4CR account now. I was going to post it on YouTube. I know Carol and I talked about posting the videos on YouTube, but why not Instagram? That's a good point. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, your videos are really cool. If I had TikTok, I would totally follow.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hopefully you'll see it on Instagram soon.
My God, I'm getting so many pointers about getting less serious and being more positive, but not like, that phony positive, but you guys are just positive. And the other one that at the age of, I won't say, I'm calling on Carol. She's as positive as y'all.
That's right. And I'm way older than y'all, probably oldest one on this entire group of people. But so I don't have the same, I taught high school for a number of years, so I don't have the Julia Dieterer disease, but so I don't have a problem talking to young people and, teenagers. And I mean, I'm just I just open my mouth and I talk. But here's my question of you, and thank you, Ashley, for your work. I mean, it's just so cool and inspiring. Here's my question, because I know that with Rotary, there is an Interact club at the high school level, and then there's Rotaract, which are the older, like young adults. Have you had any connections with any of those folks in your area? And I don't know, even they're usually like high school. So that's my first question. My second question is, I've offered to be a guest speaker. I live across the street from a high school. Should I pursue that? I'm a grandmother, for Christ's sake. But like Julia said, I live in the land of possibility. I don't have a problem walking into a classroom of teenagers. So anyway, so should I pursue that? And you got my two questions. I don't need to say anymore.
Great questions. To your first point about Interact Club, in high school, I was actually a part of Interact, and so I'm very familiar with that.
Okay.
I believe a lot of the work is very like hands-on, community-based, so I can see like how that might interact with like climate action. They might like do community gardening or do more like community service level work with climate restoration. So I think that's how they can kind of like interact. Oh, pun intended. The club is called Interact. Yeah, but also I think incorporating climate restoration could also be a good thing to do. I'm not sure how much high schoolers can like hands-on do climate restoration, but I think regardless, it's still a great thing to be aware of and optimistic about. And then why not do community gardening and, do some other forms of climate care, environmental care? I think both can work hand in hand. And then to your second point about should you speak, of course, of course, absolutely. You
All right.
you already have the mentality that you're not afraid to do it, that you're welcoming to do it. You seem like a very welcoming, warm person to talk to about the climate. And I think again, that translates very, very well with young people. So maybe just taking the pointers about listening, being optimistic, bringing that smile and that happy, high energy goes really, really well. I think you're already prepared to do it. You just gotta actually do it. What's the
Okay.
worst that can happen?
All right. I offered and then I withdrew it because I thought maybe it should be someone younger, but now I'm going to re-offer and make sure I get a chance to do it. Thank you.
And then
Yeah.
you're gonna bring it back to us and train us, Carol England.
Oh, I'll be glad to, Julia.
Okay, last comment question from Jane Granbush.
Hey, thank you. And hi, everybody. Ashley, I was so inspired by those videos, truly. What I appreciated about them, they were short, they were simple, and they were clear. There was so much clarity. I learned so much listening to those videos. I did try to go on, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok because my granddaughter is on TikTok. And I only go on TikTok to see her. But I thought I wanted her to see your videos. And so I went on to try to see your, to connect, and I could not find you. So can you put that in the chat so I'm able to do that?
Yes,
Yeah, I really appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for acknowledging that and, even maybe following the page. What happens is a lot of people have already took the handle F4CR by itself. So you have to make sure you put that underscore in afterwards. It's F4CR underscore, and then the page should pop up.
Okay. Oh, I see. It's all capital letters too. Maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I was missing. Okay. Thank you. And I will tell my granddaughter, she's 17, and I'm going to get her on to show her these videos. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope she enjoys.
Good. Now I'm going to give a minute to our board president, Alan Hyman, if you'd like to say anything, and then Ashley, a moment to wrap up, and then we're going to tell you about the May Founders Series speaker.
I don't have a lot to say. Thank you, Ashley. As everybody said, it was fabulous. You did a great job. And I'm truly inspired. And I think the amount of young people that will hear your message is going to make a huge difference in our efforts. And I've already seen where climate restoration is more in the news, it's more in the media. I'm sure it'll be more in the schools and in young youth organizations. And that's all in big part because of you. So thank you for all you've done. Thanks for hanging in there for all these years, and great job.
Yeah, and for me, I want to thank you, Ashley. You've done a master class in being yourself and being passionate about the possibility and the opportunity to restore the climate. And think about it, you've been a laser beam since the age of what, 17, 16?
17, 18?
Yeah, I mean, really, great. Okay, so I'd like to tell you about the May Founders Series, which is next month. I'm also very excited in a different way to introduce to you Dennis Garrity. And I wish we could put it in I don't think we have anything in the chat, but we will be talking about it. Dennis Garrity runs the Global Evergreening Alliance. He is one of the world-renowned leaders in eco-restoration, in land restoration. The Global Evergreening Alliance just put on a major conference in Zambia about 3 weeks ago. And what is very exciting about, for the first time, is eco-restoration never included 70% of the planet, which is the oceans. eco restoration up until the conference. Dennis is very committed to climate restoration, and what Ashley said about phytoplankton, whale poop, and the greatest opportunity to sequester carbon dioxide, the eco restoration community has never included all of the 70% of our planet. And at that conference, Dennis, who we've had a long relationship with, he is working with global countries to generate, and he's getting signatures on a resolution for climate restoration and taking down the CO2. So it's a complete opportunity for us to ask him and have him speak from that whole 30% of land restoration and everything. He's an expert who's been working in that field for about 50 years. He's lived in the Philippines, still does, and travels worldwide. So we couldn't be more excited to welcome him next month. And if you've got your name in the chat and you're new to this this community, if you don't, get it in there so that we will definitely send you the invite to that. And now back to you, Mark. Anything we want to say in the next 2 minutes to close it up?
Just a few minutes here. I know that you have your hand up there, Jane. Is this a quick question?
She probably didn't pull it down.
Okay. Anyhow, so it's been great to have everybody here on this call with us. And it's great to be hearing from these young people. And you are so active and engaged and awake and aware. And we really love the energy that you're bringing to this. It's so refreshing. A lot of us in this call have been active for many, many, many years on lots and lots of issues. And it really feels good to see a new wave coming in. So we're thrilled that you're here with us all. I wanted to invite everybody who we don't have your contact info, hasn't been connected with us, please put your information in the chat and do that right away. We'll keep that open as long as we can so we can stay in touch with you, and put your name and your email address and your phone number too. We love to talk to you, just to invite people, have a welcoming phone call. And you're also all welcome, anybody, to just contact me directly. I put my information in the chat a little while ago, markbatchelder@yahoo.com, and my phone number. And I'm happy to talk to anybody about this organization, about this movement we're creating, and what's next, and maybe how you can be active with us. So once again, thank you for everybody for being here.
Yeah, thank you for a wonderful event, everyone.